What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now. And yo, dig this, man. We got an awesome episode coming down for you today. And I'm going to tell you, it's kind of funny. We had some technical difficulties a minute ago. And so, we were started the interview and things were kind of getting jumbled. So we had to shut it down and do it all over again. And, I was kind of getting on this brother a little bit because he was wearing a cutoff shirt on the interview, which I'm cool with. Sometimes I have a cutoff on, but he's a pastor. And I was just like, he was trying to embody his, his younger version of TD Jakes, trying to relate to the, to the younger folks, trying to be cool. Like he just went to the gym, and did his Bible study. And so you try to connect to the people. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, because I know ladies are listening too, we got my man, Bishop Marshall Mabry on the line today. Marshall's originally from Atlanta. He went to Mercer University where he pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We'll talk about that later. He's a senior pastor at Tremont Temple Baptist Church in Macon, CEO of the Mabry Group, and he's the author of this book, this new book that dropped called B is for Blended, in which he really addresses and talks about his journey with a blended family or having a blended family. And so, fellas in the Black Fathers Now family and the ladies listening too, let's welcome my man, my friend, Bishop Marshall Mabry. What's up, brother?
You ain't had to throw me on the bus like that, Mike. You ain't got to be driving the bus ministry all day, every day. I mean, I've known you for a long time. Don't be the petty president all day, every day, bro. I thought we've evolved past that, man. We doing better.
Look, petty president. See that? There you go with the pastor talking. You don't got to give analogies. The petty president.
Look,
the bus driver, analogies and everything.
I'm working on these shoulders. They ain't ready for the gun show. I'm trying to get big swole like you do.
Oh boy, man, this is funny, man. But I'm loving it, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your gym schedule to your gym Bible study ministry to come in and share with the brothers on Black Fathers Now. Oh,
you're not gonna make it in. You're not gonna make it in. I'm your saving grace.
I know. It's all good, man. That's why I'm being friends with you. Maybe you can put a word in for your boy. But but before we get started, man, we're having a good time. But before we get started, we like to always let the brothers who come on give shout outs, right? Because we have villages around us. It takes a village to raise a child, but every strong and successful grown person also has a village around them. So I want to give you the floor before we get started, before we talk about your journey and your story, to give a shout out to that village, that team that you have supporting you, that helps you to be the best version of yourself.
Well, I wouldn't be anything, first and foremost, of course, giving unto God, all that kind of good stuff. But my wife, on the spirit, my wife is thebomb.com. I'm not just saying it because she's in the room with me. But she
that's her laughing in the background, ain't it?
Yeah, that's her laughing in the background. And she is a proud member, you'll appreciate this, of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Put them hooks down, Mike. Put the hooks down. We moving on.
Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated is in the building, and I'm married to a beautiful lady of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority.
Yes, you are.
So
but man, and we can agree, man. And my wife is just, man, she is not taking she's one of the best things. Actually, is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I mean, her and our 6 children. Our oldest is 21. Now hold on to your seat. Our oldest is 21. The youngest is 4 months old.
Whoa. Yeah. Brother, we're gonna really dive into that.
We're gonna touch that one. We're gonna touch that one. Yeah, she surprised your boy. Yeah, we're gonna touch on that one too. So we have a blended family, and God placed us. It's one of our heartbeats in our life, is our passion as well, because we both came from a blended family. And so we just kind of talk about various things, the ins and outs of what it looks like to be blended, so on and so forth. But like, my children are awesome and amazing, man. I have some good leaders around me. I have my pastor, Bishop Andrew Howdy, out of the Atlanta, Georgia area, man. I just got some good leaders who would just, continue to make me the man I've always wanted to be. And my parents, man, I have really good parents who hold me accountable. And so, and last and finally, my brothers, I don't have any paraphernalia on today. I just got some black and gold on. The brothers of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, man, it's just I got some dudes. One thing I love about the Omegas men of Omega, is that friendship is essential to the soul.
Yes.
And so I have brothers, man, who are like closer than my own brothers, my own biological brothers.
Mhm.
And so that's my village, man. You know, like you said, it takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a pack to make a man. So, you know, we rolling with a pack, a good group of guys and ladies who hold you accountable, man. So, you know, I can't mess up in this season because folk are watching us and they're expecting great things from us, as you understand, as a husband and a father. So that's my shout out.
Folks are watching us and they're expecting stuff from us.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, that's deep right there because, you know, we have 5 girls and 1 son.
5 girls?
Yeah, man. I got that Malcolm X thing going on for real. I got all these girls, man. And my wife always tells me, she's like, you know, the affection that I show her, our daughters will emulate one day. They'll be looking for that. And I guess I never thought about that, you know, because you're just like, oh, you see mom and daddy doing stuff. And so, you know, when they see us, now we do it sometimes just to kind of make them mad. Like we'll hug on each other and kiss on each other. And they're like, oh, please stop. That's nasty. But they need to see that. They need to see a happy, loving couple, you know, because a lot of times the folks don't always see that. I think we romanticize what marriage is supposed to be. Because you be talking, I mean, you and I both married. Marriage is work, dude. You know,
Yes.
and my wife and I, we do our marriage ministry stuff at the church. We always tell people, don't fall in love with the wedding. You focus more on the marriage. That like you can spend. I've seen people spend like thousands of dollars on weddings and they divorce within a year or 2 years. Like, dude, like I want my toaster back. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't even take out the package yet. Spend more time with each other. We have a thing. We take vacations with the children, and then we take one with
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Our 11-year-old daughter yesterday was like, "Why y'all taking a vacation alone?" I said, "Because at some point y'all growing up, y'all could be grown and gone. And we want to still like each other." So you know, it's that thing where we're spending time. We're both in the school system, so we're both off of the summer, and so you know we're hanging out, we getting stuff done because at the end of the day, as you mentioned, I am the CEO of the Mabry Group. When she's the COO, you know, I'm the head, but she's the neck that turns the head.
Yeah, absolutely. Say that.
You don't know when to shout. You ain't catch that one, Big Mike. You ain't catch that one.
Say she's the hand that turns the like look.
All day, every day. She got your boy.
That's real. That's real. That's real. And you know, you said something there, man, that was extremely powerful about the concept of marriage because you know, a lot of us do focus on the wedding, right? I even think back to our own wedding. Like we planned. Well, I mean, I was a part of it, but my wife primarily did the heavy lifting there. But I mean, being straight up, you know, I was just like, look, there's a couple of things. I don't want to wear this color. You know, my brothers are going to be the best men, and it has to be under this amount. Outside of that, I'm cool, right? Like, that's me. And outside of that, I'm just there to, okay, I approve, keep it rolling. But the thing is, this thing took a full year to plan, right? And I remember for us, in the limo after the wedding, headed to the hotel, and we were both like, wow, so this is it. We did all of this planning for this, you know, 30 minutes. Yeah, this 30-minute ceremony and this 2.5-hour reception. And now we're in the in the limo headed to the hotel. And we're like, wow, like it's over. All that stuff we planned is done. And so to your point, what's next is the marriage, the thing that you're really there to do. And so I like the fact that you mentioned that that's something that we need to kind of put out front. And I'm going to share something here. I built a relationship with a guy, a really good friend of mine, and he's originally from India, and he's of a different generation as well. So he's definitely one of our elders, so to speak, from an age perspective. But he was married under the auspice or under the arranged marriage scenario. And one of the things that I learned with that was, you know, he mentioned that their relationship starts first with responsibility, and then they learn how to love. So all the things, all these characteristics, all these lineups that their parents and uncles and aunts and stuff do to set them up, they get those things in order. They first start with the level of responsibility. Then on the back end, they learn how to love. Whereas our system is we become googly-eyed and infatuated and dog, she that thing, you know, we fall in love, we get infatuated. And then we think about are we going to take it serious? We're going to take it to the next level. Are we going to start planning? Are we going to start, you know, building a future together? It's like completely reversed. And so to that point is it's challenging because maybe at times what we do is we then get blinded by all the stuff that catches our attention that got us, our neck turning from the jump. But then are we prepared for the responsibility part? And we don't spend as much time on that. And that's what leads to a lot of the challenges that we all face because we're all flawed.
Right. Well, I always look at, and I have some friends who are part of that same culture as well. And one of the smooth things that I love about them is that they make sure that the family is involved and invested to make sure that your marriage is successful. They make sure that you're able to take care of her and she, financially, and she can take care of you as a good wife and help me, so on and so forth, because they understand there's a balance in order to make that marriage work. Like you said, we can fall in love later on, and we all the time. Falling in love is easy. Staying in love, that's hard work.
I'm gonna tell you, and what's even powerful about that, from a spiritual perspective or from the Christian perspective, we think about the concept of equally yoked, right? And usually we stop with the spiritual equal yoking, right? Like we both believe the same thing. Okay, that's it, right? Whereas when I was talking to him, he was diving into it from the standpoint of, yes, they start with the religious, making sure they're on the same page, but he was like, the history of their family. Do they come from a similar background? Socioeconomically, are they somewhat in the same level? Do they have somewhat similar education? Do they have similar goals? Like it's this whole SWOT analysis, so to speak, that's done on the back end to compare one to the other to then weed out who is potential. And then they start weeding out from that process as to who they should go forward with. And it's just interesting. Again, I'm not advocating that we need to go to arranged marriages, even though I will say this. When my wife and I encounter folks with, kids that are about our kids' age, I'm not above, creating some planned collisions as our kids.
We talked about it.
I'm 100%. Yes.
People laugh. My wife, they laugh at us. We like, oh no, because here's my thing. I know your family.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna be caught off guard by some random dude. And I can. Okay, I grew up in a generation. My grandparents both still alive. They were still married until the day they died. I mean, I think collectively both grandparents are married over like 100. I mean, 50 on one side, 52 on another, a long period of time. Here's the thing. My grandmother did something. She would always say, as a young lady who I'm dating, who your people?
That's it. Who you? Let me tell you what's funny about that. When I go to Augusta, that was the some of our elders, the ladies, when you meet people and this and that, and they were like, yeah, so this is so-and-so. They were like, so who your people, baby? Who your people? And then they start, and you could see their mind going, and they were not thinking about like this or that. They were like, who are your people? Basically, that was their way of asking, like, what stock do you come from? Like, what is, what are your roots? What does your history look like? So therefore, if you bringing somebody into the mix and that root ain't necessarily what it needs to be, grandmama ain't got she ain't got no calls about saying, look at here.
That part. And now guess what? To that same, man, keep this in mind too. When we got married, nowadays, and I don't know if they do it in other places, you don't have to give blood tests like you used to. So now, if you're not bringing that person that you're dating or you're infatuated with before the elders, you could be dating a cousin, not even know it.
Wow. See, it's interesting. And what's interesting about that, and this is this is probably a rabbit hole that we're jumping down, and we'll get to our subject matter in a second. But, when you really stop and you think about it, if you go back far enough, we probably are all cousins in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. If you go back far enough. But to your point, especially in various areas where, last names and this and that are kind of, there's always some question marks. You never know. There could be some connectivity that you were never planning for. That's it's interesting.
It's very interesting. You're absolutely right. So, even when my wife and I got married, she's from Athens, Georgia. And so my mom's family's from Athens. I said, okay, hold on now. I can't marry my cousin. And we started talking. We sat down with her parents and they said, wait a minute, you know so-and-so? Yes, ma'am, you know so-and-so? Okay, y'all not related, but I went to school with so-and-so. I went to school with your cousin, or I dated so-and-so. So-and-so is married. So we don't want to make sure there was no blood because, we don't want no weird stuff happening. We start having babies. So we just like to know. I don't like surprises like that, bro. So I just like to know off rip.
That's it. Get to know up front and then keep it moving. Dig it.
Yeah.
So earlier on, you mentioned, we talked about the concept of the book that you dropped. The B is for blended, but you also mentioned that some of the background to that is the fact that you and your wife both came from blended families. So
Yes.
talk to me a little bit about, your journey, growing up in a blended family. And, let's kind of walk it up to the notion of, now you are in the midst of a blended family with 6 kids ranging from 21 down to 6 months old. So,
Yeah.
let's go into that, man. Talk about, growing up with the blended family yourself.
Well, see, my parents split when I was young.
Okay.
And so I'm the oldest of 8. Now, within that 8, I have a half sister and I have step brothers.
Okay.
But see, the way they raised us, we never internalized or really used that concept of step brother or step sister. It was always my brother, my sister. Primarily because we all have the same last name.
Gotcha.
And most times, because we all were all raised with each other, you didn't know that wasn't my biological, but we didn't have the same mom and same dad unless you talked to one of us. We were always raised with each other. And so, even my stepmother, I don't address as my stepmom. That's mom. That's my bonus mom. And so now I have my mother and I have mom. And what happens is, well, for me, I think what happened with us is it took the adults to get on one accord.
Wow, that's big.
It took my parents and me kind of seeing my dad and his new wife, my stepmom, my bonus mom, and my mom sit down, have a conversation. Okay, listen, this is where we are. We're gonna do this for the children. And that was the primary goal. I've never seen them argue in front of each other, in front of us. I've never seen them have. Now they did. I never saw it. So for me, I said, okay, you know what? If they can be the bigger person and make this happen, I could too. If I'm ever put in this situation, so much so that even at my wedding, everybody was there. When we have special occasions, it's not like, oh, well, you're gonna go over there with this person. No, we all have Christmases together. We all have birthday celebrations together. We just had my daughter's, my baby girl, her christening, her baby dedication. Everybody came down. Like, wow. It's weird. We would go to football games together. People are like, oh, who is this? I'm like, these are my moms. And they're like, your moms? Like,
yeah, plural? Yeah.
Like, like, are they lesbians? No, it's like, this is my biological mom, and this is my bonus mom. And so we don't differentiate. And they should tell anybody, that's my son. Because they both raised us, because I was young. And so they're all been in my part of my life, an active part of my life. My mom and my stepmom, they hang out more. They talk all the time, which is kind of weird at times. Like, she'll call and say, have you called your mom? I'm like, why are you calling me about that? But it's so weird though, because they want to make sure that I'm being the man that they kind of invested me to be.
What you said something, and this is the part that is quite interesting, because this is a theme that I've had actually with other interviews. An interview from it dropped about 2 months ago with Speech from Arrested Development. One of the things that he talked about was the fact that he grew up and his parents split when he was young, but when they split, his mother and his father basically came together to say, look, we're going to do what's right for the kids. And so his dad, instead of keeping the house, made sure the mom with the kids had the house. And they basically set the kids up to win, and they worked together in spite of their differences. And so my thing is, what's powerful about what you mentioned is that everybody kind of came together, but it started out with a plan that, look, we're going to do what's right for this next generation. We're not going to let our differences or our issues come in the way of being the best parents that we can be. And that's powerful, because that's a choice that some of us can't make. That's a choice that some of us choose to not make. That's something that we have to completely pull the ego, the hurt out of the equation on a personal level, so that we can say, like, you know what? I know I may have been hurt, or I may have been wrong, or we don't see eye to eye, but we have these little ones who are looking up to us that are our responsibility. No matter what, we have to do what's right for them so that they have the best chance at success in life. And if we don't, we're setting them up for failure, because honestly, you think about stuff. Kids don't always do what they're told, but they do have a strong tendency to repeat what they see or replicate what they see.
That's true. One of the things that I'm very cognizant of, as you mentioned earlier, it's a level of maturity, man. You got to
Mm-hmm.
stop. You know what? Well, you did this and you did that. You know what? At the end of the day, while we was making these children, nobody was thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was thinking about that. You have to be a mature. Say, you know what? Hey, I messed up in my marriage. You messed up in our marriage. Oh, I take full responsibility. At the end of the day, we have children. Our goal is to make productive citizens. I find out most adults, because I also do counseling, if you talk to them, most of their issues that they deal with right now is stuff that happened when they were children.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they have repressed memories, things they never really fully developed, or milestones of their life. They just kind of bypass. I always look at Michael Jackson. Michael was never allowed to be a child.
Absolutely.
He was just like, okay, you can sing, boom, you a star. And now, because now I got this money, I can do whatever I want to do. Now I'm trying to go back to that, to replay or regain that childlike simplicity. We
Mm-hmm.
can't do that. And so, sometimes it takes a little maturity to say, you know what, hey, I wish you all the best, and honestly mean that. Now, what does that require? That means that person needs to do some healing, some inward healing.
Big time.
You can't say, I tell people all the time, you can't say you're better and still being bitter. You can't do that. You can't say I'm better, but then you talk my fuck on Facebook, because now at that point you're talking on both sides of your neck. There's a duality of your conversation. And if you're gonna be better, be better all the way around. The children need you better. Like, your mental space, I guarantee you, will be better when you learn to heal and move on.
Heal and move on, but you have to find that thing that needs healing. See, there's a lot that folks don't do. Like, in different talks or different speaking engagements, one of the things that I bring out, or is I talk about the whole concept of being by yourself and spending time with yourself. There are two different things. Being by yourself is just simply being there, right? Spending time with yourself is actually being aware, being intuitive of everything that's going on, making note of how you react to this and how you react to that. It's like spending time with your spouse, right? You can both be on the couch and be there, or you can actually spend time with her. You can pay attention to her. What makes her tick? What pisses her off? What gets her excited? What makes her want to say, all right, put the kids to bed and come on in here? Like, what are these things?
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Yes,
Lord. Whoa.
Well, yeah, right.
We like those moments. We love them.
We love those moments.
Look, and that's why we have a 4-month-old. That's how we got caught up. That's how we got that part.
Keep the party going. Keep the party going. But the thing, boy, you're a trip. But the funny thing is, though, it's like, but we don't do that with ourselves. We do that with other people. We learn the nuances of others. We don't do that with ourselves. And to your point, to heal, we have to do that thing. We have to spend time with ourselves to uncover that thing. Because what I've also realized is, like, in like health or the body, a lot of the things that we see, or a lot of the things that we experience from like a negative health perspective, are all symptoms. What we see, like when you have a fever, that fever is a symptom that something else is going on. When you have something swollen, or something, whatever, that's a symptom of something else going on. That's an indicator of something else is causing something. And so most things can kind of get rooted back to a few key things that are the cause of it, or that are causal to those issues. And that's the same thing in regards to, like you mentioned, folks that are dealing with things as adults. These things are something that started maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, but it's that one thing, and everything that you see now is just a symptom of that problem that we have yet to rectify or take issue with, or figure out a way to get to the root cause of and get eradicated. Once that's done, it's like a chain reaction. This stuff falls. Wow.
Even if somebody's if you're an alcoholic or something like that, at some point, I was looking at this, and I actually mentioned this in my first book, 10 Things Your Man Won't Tell You. Everybody's rock bottom is different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you're an alcoholic or Narcotics Anonymous, sexaholic, whatever case is, whatever your drug of choice may be, everybody's rock bottom is different. And so when I found, when most people, your rock bottom, that's that moment. It's like, that's your aha moment. You've awakened to what you've done to yourself and how it's affect everybody else. Because what most people don't realize, what you do, how you live your life on a daily basis does have a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
I guarantee you, in fact, I know your son watches you when you're at home cooking, or your son I don't know. When you put on an Omega Psi-Phi shirt and some boots,
Mm-hmm.
your son
He's setting out hops too. Yep, in the house.
See? Well, you want to be like that. So,
That's
right.
right.
They to emulate because children are sponges. And what we do from a educational perspective, they mirror what they see.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, what we had to learn, and my wife, this is both of our second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went in and said, okay, we knew what not to do to mess a marriage up. We know what we need to do, and we know how to keep it pushing. Now, do we always get it right? No.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We're imperfect.
We're imperfect, but we've committed to doing at some point. If we got to have one of those come to Jesus moments, we do it. If we got to sit down and have a serious conversation, we do it. But let's learn we have to learn how to talk to one another. Let's learn when to talk to one another, the atmosphere to talk to one another. And so that even with our blended stuff, it's crazy because I can give you more depth, and it's going to blow you away too. So I don't know if I go into it. My wife was like, go ahead and say it.
Okay.
She came from a blended family as well. Her parents were divorced. Her mom got remarried. When she got married the first time, both of her dads walked her down the aisle.
Wow.
Like, that's big stuff right there. But it's so here's the turn right here, Mike. So my ex-wife is getting remarried in about 8 weeks, a few weeks, something like that. And I think it's in August. She's getting remarried. Why does my ex-wife, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Now, our children, all of our girls go to the same school.
Okay.
I see them every day, because when school's out, because that's the school I used to work at, but I still volunteer there. Why does my ex-wife live in my neighborhood with her new fiance?
Wow.
Go ahead, I'll wait.
Wow. So hold on. So your ex-wife and her new fiance live in the same neighborhood that you and your wife live in, and y'all have children together, and your kids go to school together. And so, what's interesting, again, what do they say? Life imitates art, or art imitates life, or whatever the thing is. You mentioned how you grew up, and you're the oldest of 8, correct?
Right.
The oldest of 8 in a blended situation. And this thing it's a playbook was kind of set early on, in the sense that your mother and your bonus mom and your dad and everybody basically came together to work. And what's interesting about that is, who knew, fast forward 30 some odd years, what life was going to look like for you.
Right.
And we just mentioned the whole notion of, kids don't always do what they're told, but they have this tendency to kind of replicate what they see.
Right.
The scenario came that you are now, you had a marriage that ended and you moved into a second marriage. And now you are in a scenario in which you're dealing with a blended family, but now you can recall back to these examples of how your parents, all of them, work together to make it work. And now look at this. Your ex-wife is living in the same neighborhood with her new fiance, who she's getting married to in a few weeks, as you and your wife, and you all's blended together 6 kids.
Yeah, okay, I can make it even better.
Wow.
Not only do they live in the same neighborhood, they live maybe 45 seconds away from me.
Dude, see,
they live just that close. Okay, should I go tell it all? Oh, okay. My wife said tell it all.
Okay.
Mike, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
He's one of the bros too.
He's one of
my frat brothers. But not only is he my frat brother, but he went to college with my wife, my new wife.
Wow. Dude,
it's crazy, right? God has a sense of humor. You can't tell me God does not have a sense of humor, because he does. And even when we want to kind of differentiate, okay, well, we're not doing this, whatever, I understand my girls are watching me. Mm-hmm. I'm recognizing our girls are watching us. We were just together last night for the village. Oh, we were working our schedules and vacations and stuff like that, because I understand at the end of the day, and like I told her before, I said, you know what? We've had to have conversations in front of the new people. Say, listen, it didn't work out with us. We still got babies. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be there at graduations. We were there. We're going to be there at birthday parties. Been there, done that. It's not like, well, I'm going to get my feelings and I'm going to have me on my own separate party. You can't get in your feelings.
Mm.
A certain level of maturity requires that you take yourself out of the equation. Get out your feelings. And that's the problem with our culture right now. We live, this is me, my soapbox. I believe we live in a very narcissistic society. So much so it's always about your feelings. Even sometimes you go to churches, what kind of catches me sometimes, a lot of time you go to churches, we'll spend most of the message talking about your haters and not talking about how good God is.
Absolutely.
Or your can't do nothing with you. And Okay, I get that. We've established people don't like you. Let's move on. That cannot be your own personal theology that everybody's against you. Because the fact of the matter is some things that happen in your life, it wasn't your haters that caused them, it was you. And so simply put, my grandmother always said like this, you made your bed, and then you got to lie in it. And you got to put your big boy drawers on, your big girl panties on, man up, woman up, accept responsibility, and say, this is what we're going to do. You know, we've had to have some real, my daughter asked me the other day, my 9-year-old, she said, Daddy, you know, why did you and mommy split up? I just want to know. And I was like, well, Daddy can't tell you everything, but you know what? Just know this. Daddy and mommy loved each other at one point, but you know what? We're better as friends right now. We're better parents for you. And we love you. We came together to make you in love. And she was like, oh, okay. And left it alone. I didn't have to go into, but this is what your mama did. No. Because, and my wife always stresses with me, a lot of times, especially with women, never diminish the role. You can have a deadbeat dad. He can be a horrible person. My wife always says it for women, but don't tarnish that child's image in the sight of their father.
That's big.
Don't do that.
That's
and
big.
she tells women when she counsels women and stuff like, she always says that don't do that, because at the end of the day, that's the only father that child has. And psychologically, if he's such a horrible person, why did you lay down with him?
Wow.
But it says something about you inwardly as well. I mean, we got to dig deep in this thing. It's not just about, oh, we blended just your stepmom, but they can't hit you. They can't. No. Psychologically, it says something about you as a person that you got to go back and say, you know what? Okay, what's the root of who I am? Like, let me dig up who I really am. When I got divorced, I was single. I was single for 6 years. I want to find out who I was as a single adult. Because being a single adult before marriage and a single adult being married and a single divorced dad, completely different people.
Totally, right? Wow.
And my wife, my new wife, her name is Tasha. I'm talking about Tasha. Was single 12 years? So it's 12 years. So we had time to really learn each other, grow. I was like, hey, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Matter of fact, this is what I don't eat anymore. I don't do this no more. And they're like, oh, well, you've changed. Yes, I've evolved. You cannot, at some point, man, listen, I'll be 40 years old in October. I can't, my 20-year-old self and my 40-year-old self, when I look at pictures, oh totally my different. God.
Totally different. Dude, I'm gonna tell you what's powerful about that. When I first got married, there was a guy, and his name is Craig. I won't give his full information or whatever, but Craig was he's been a mentor of mine for years. And, one of the things that, he shared with me is a word of advice right when I got married. I asked him, I was like, Craig, give me some words of wisdom, words of advice, like how to, approach this whole marriage thing just from your perspective. And one of the things he said, Mike, make sure that you reintroduce yourself to your wife every so often. And I was like, it was profound, because he said, dude, the guy that you are now is not the guy that you were 5 years ago. And truthfully, it's not the guy that you're going to be 5 years from now. And again, it goes back to this whole notion of having grace and understanding. The same thing can be said for your wife. That one that you married when she was this age, a few years later with multiple kids and all of that, she has different interests, different things she likes, different things she doesn't like. The stuff that she used to, it used to be like, okay, put the kids to bed, let's go, is stuff that's like, brother, leave me alone. It's just like you have to, but you got to be attuned to that. And we have to both be honest about reintroducing ourselves to our spouse on a very regular basis, because the man that I am now, and, you turned 40 this year, I turned 40 this year as well. The man that I am as almost 40 is not the brother that I was at 26, and so we have to be mindful of that, but she's not the same either. And so we have to give each other grace, but then be honest and put that out front and understand that, the only constant is change. We're going to change.
Right.
I mean, the stuff that, I mean, I'm gonna tell you what's even interesting when you think about, we're talking about on a human level, like as people, but think about like technology. I was thinking about this the other day, and I did an episode not too long ago on it. When I went to college in 1998, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't get my first cell phone until my sophomore year in college in 1999. I didn't send my first text message probably until either late 1999 or the year 2000, right?
Wow.
You stop and you think about that. It's 2019 now, but you think about how fast things have evolved. Things like Facebook. Facebook wasn't invented until 2004. People don't realize the iPhone didn't come out until 2007. The iPad didn't come out until 2010. Look at how pervasive this stuff is. And most of these innovations have happened in the last 10 years. Think social media. Think about that. Think about we're sharing this. I mean, literally, the last decade, this stuff is completely flipped. And so you think about changes, and we could, if you had told me in 1998 as a senior in high school what this would look like, I'd be like, fool, you crazy. Ain't no way in the world I can have a live conversation with somebody in Amsterdam, you know, on my phone while I'm walking through the park and they're talking live to me and I'm seeing them, they're seeing me. Ain't no way that can happen.
Right. And think about this. It was stuff that we always thought like, oh, that's the Jetsons, or that's the future. It's going to be like the year 2045 and it happened. That was 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I remember when Facebook was introduced and you had to have a college account to get on Facebook.
Yes.
You know, I remember in the era where MySpace was the big deal, and everybody started with that one friend. Everybody started with Tom.
or College Crib, or what? Black Planet, all that stuff. AOL Instant Messenger.
Now you know we just dated ourselves because man, here's the funny thing. When I first met you, we both had hair, so that's another thing right there.
Follically challenged, brother.
Oh, I love it. So man, it causes you to just really like reassess who you were, man. I'll be honest with you, and I love being transparent with people. We do this with our marriage ministry all the time. I was pastoring and I was going through a divorce. Mm-hmm. Like my journey to the point where even now that I'm in the educational system, I never wanted to be in the classroom. I was like, no, I don't like people's kids. I don't want to be in the classroom like that. Dude, I love it. Mm-hmm. I'm loving it because now I'm starting to notice.
Hold on one second, okay?
All right.
You about to leave, baby? Okay. I mean, look, this is Black Fathers now. We got family stuff and everything. My wife is about to walk out. She looking good too. Give me a shout. Give me sugars. Y'all got a shot of Maisha Dorsey. That's my lady. But anyway, have a good day, baby. All right, love you. But yeah, so yeah, okay, we're good. So yeah, so back to what you were saying in regards to just the whole notion of transparency. And you said you were going through the divorce while you were currently pastoring the church.
Yeah, man. It was because you know we tried to make some things happen, and I'm sitting there like I didn't know how to. I started preaching when I was 17 years old. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that all the years I preached and I counseled and I loved on people, and now here I am, the pastor, and I'm going through a situation, and I didn't know how to find my way through this because not only was it me on the line, you know, and the funny thing was people don't recognize when you're going through stuff, especially in your marriage, you got to be careful who you talk to.
Yes. Big time.
You got to be very, very careful who you talk to because some people will give you bad advice. And I learned, stop listening to people who've never been in your shoes. They don't know anything about how to walk your journey. And so, man, I honestly took some time to say, you know what, let me fall back because my pastor always said this. He said, son, you're bleeding on the sheep. And because I was so wounded and so hurt that my sheep started to show the signs of what I was going through, man. And I took time to heal. I took time to just kind of focus on myself mentally. I started writing. I never wanted to be a writer. I never wanted to thought about doing anything like that. I was just going with the flow, doing other stuff. But sometimes God works some stuff out in mysterious ways because if you're not careful, you'll get stunted. I believe we're constantly every few years, you know, I had this revelation the other day. Most people have midlife crisis or crises is because the stuff they wanted to do in the early part of their life or their youth, they never had a chance to do it. And it was mainly because they either had to work, they had to hustle, you got to take care of family and kids. So now you feel like you missed out on something.
You said something, and this is interesting because I challenge folks when I do coaching and all that kind of stuff, and we talk about life. And one of the things that's interesting when you start talking to someone and they start giving you their goals, a lot of times folks will give you, the typical, well, I want to be a millionaire by 30, and I want to be married by 35, and I want to have this by that number and that by this number, and this is my number ultimately that I want. And then when you let them go through and talk about it, but then you come back on the back end and you say, well, what's so important about 30? What's so important about 35?
Right.
What's so important about 40? Why is it that, this is the time frame that you set? And 99% of folks, when you really break that down, those numbers are just arbitrary numbers. It just sounds good. I just pulled, 30 out of the hat, and 30 sounds good for me to be at this place financially, and 35 for this. And it's an arbitrary number. And so what happens when at 30, you don't hit that arbitrary number goal that you set for yourself? Then you start having these, I'm questioning myself and my abilities and my this and my that. And you're questioning things that really aren't rooted in anything because you put this goal there that really wasn't because of any specific reason. And so we have this anxiety and everything built up, and we are, having this crisis, and I'm not feeling fulfilled and all of that. A lot of times it's because we've set these goals or these parameters that aren't rooted in anything.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I remember talking to myself at 35 and 30, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have this PhD by the time I'm 32, I'm going to do this and the other. I'm 40, still don't have it. Mm-hmm. But guess what? I've learned amassing stuff and amassing things, they're only temporal. They make you feel good at that moment because just like you said, they sound good at that moment, but a lot of stuff gets outdated anyway. So what are you going to do if you say, I'm going to get this house, and then you don't have anybody to fill it? Mm-hmm. Or my wife has a good friend, has a wonderful job, travels all the time, but guess what? Has no real social life. But you've gotten to the pinnacle of your career because you sacrificed your social life for your career. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have anything else, you don't know how to socialize with anybody else. You don't have a man, boo, babe, what do you want to call it? You don't have any of that. And so for me, I've got to a point in my life where if I can have peace, oh man, I'm happy with that. We don't have to have elaborate vacations. I said, I'm going to travel the world. Man, we took our kids to Clearwater Beach, Florida. I had a ball. Mm-hmm. We don't have huge passports. Now, we're going to go someplace like that, but the fact that my family is happy, seeing my children smile and enjoy themselves, that lets me know that as a husband and a father, that did something to me. When my children can give me something on my birthday or Father's Day, and they give me things that I like. Don't give me, like you said, the arbitrary necktie because I wear ties every day. My children, they gave me some happy socks. I love happy socks. And my daughter gave me one with a little piece of sushi on it because they know I love sushi. I was like, y'all paid attention. That kind of stuff lets me know they're watching. And so we're growing in grace, and we're raising young adults, and we're raising productive citizens. Guess what? Okay, let's put it like this. Most of the folk that we dated back in the day is not until the Bible says that matters of the heart come out of the mouth. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you don't know somebody's a little off or a little fine-tuned, a little tweaked or whatever until they start speaking. Mm-hmm. Most of the people, the men and women that you dated back in the day, it wasn't until you spent time with them, you talked to them, until you realize, you really start to listen what's coming out of their mouth. You find out, you know what? Yeah, I don't like you. Like, we're not gelling because something inside of you, we're not speaking on the same level. We're not on the same caliber. And that's when we talk about being equally yoked. It's not always about spirituality. Like, where are you emotionally? Mm-hmm. Where are you mentally? Like, what are your long set goals? Like, can we enjoy each other? Can we just act? Can we be silly with each other and just have a good time, be goofy without you looking down your nose and, well, we don't act like that. That has to be a level. We can just learn to laugh and stuff. My wife and I were up at 4 o'clock this morning because of the baby, and we should have gone back to sleep, but we were just up talking and enjoying each other. Now, I don't mean like that. We weren't enjoying it like that, Mike. But we were just, but we were just up laughing, just talking about stuff. I love that we can spend time with each other. We go out to lunch, we go get ice cream, and we do stuff without the children. And that's where, to create a life together. We're on this journey with each other. This is, She'll tell me all the time, you taking a break. Okay. I don't even argue no more. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
She'll tell me in a minute, you're not going to die leaving with all these children. I said, yes, ma'am.
That's
I
right.
understand. I understand. I'm not going to fight her on that. Why?
Mm-hmm.
She has my best interest at heart. And when you look at relationships and blended
Absolutely.
families, you got to figure out, you know what? What's my takeaway? What's my non-negotiable? Some stuff I'm not going to negotiate by having peace in my house. That's a non-negotiable. I'm going to have peace. If I don't, you're not welcome in my house. We've told people, if you cannot come and bring peace in this house, you can't come here.
You got to go. That's right.
We'll hang out at Starbucks. I'll meet you on the corner. You cannot bring chaos to my house. You just can't. Friend, family, whatever. We've done that because that's important to us. So, and it's important to our children.
And this is actually a really good segue into the book that you just authored entitled B is for Blended. And,
Yes.
we kind of jumped into and talked about your journey. You and your wife both came from blended families, but you also mentioned the fact that the stage was set to show you what's important and how to, in essence, put your relationship differences aside for the betterment of the kids and the families going forward, and how that then informed you and set the stage for the journey that you're going to be on. And so the book B is for Blended, talk to us a little bit about, first off, why you wrote it, but then two, what are some key takeaways? Don't give us everything because we want folks to go and buy the book, but give us, most definitely. But let us know why you felt the need, or why you all felt the need to write the book, one, but then two, what are some key takeaways that the brothers listening that maybe are currently in a blended family, that may be in a potential of putting together a blended family due to, who they're in a relationship with, give them some key takeaways that they can take to their life and apply. Because again, the title of this is Black Fathers Now. We like to tell stories, but we also like to leave things that brothers can listen to, take action on, and apply to their life right now going forward.
I'm gonna give you some practical and pragmatic, takeaways with that. I wrote the book because, as I said before, my wife and I are both in education, and I'm sitting in the classroom every single day with children. And to be an educator in a classroom with children, you're their counselor, you're their nutritionist sometimes, you're their wardrobe consultant, like you're their pastor, you're a lot of stuff. And so I'm seeing a lot of children come to me and say, hey, Mr. Mabry, can I talk to you about something? Because I found out there aren't so many bad children. They're just children trying to give voice to the stuff that's happening inside of them. They're trying to, decipher, why is mom and daddy arguing, or daddy was here, but he's not here anymore. So the grades start to slip. And the first question you always ask is, anything different at home?
Yep.
And a parent always say, well, his dad and I are not together, or, we're going through some stuff and this, that, and the other. Well, once again, that child hears that. And so because they don't know how to internalize and give voice to their feelings, or saying, mommy and daddy, stop, because we're quick to tell children to stay in the child's place. They got anger and angst going on somewhere, because we forget children are people too. They're little people, but they're people too.
Absolutely.
And they have emotions. So I was sitting in class one day with a young man, and he says, in two separate occurrences, a young man says, hey, my parents aren't together anymore. My mom has a girlfriend. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is in first grade. So I'm like, I don't know how to deal with that one. But then you have another child who says, hey, my parents aren't together anymore, but it's okay because I got new Jordans. And so my parents are buying my affection. And he recognizes that. And so what he does is he plays on that. And
he probably leverages that.
Mm-hmm. He leverages that, and he plays them against each other. And so, and when something happened, I think we caught him doing something illegal on school campus. When both parents came in, you should have seen it. It was like a showdown at the OK Corral. They both were blaming each other. It was like, well, you did this, and nobody said, you know what? This is our child, and this is our fault. They blamed each other because they gave him stuff, but didn't give him quality time. Nobody sat down and said, listen, mom is not going to be here anymore. Daddy's moving on. Daddy's moving down the street, whatever the case may be. It was daddy coming home and say, hey, I got to go. Your mama tripping, and he's gone. Well, wait a minute, I got questions. You just leave me high and dry, and I don't know what's going on. But all of a sudden, I see daddy every other weekend. I got a pair of new Jordans, or I got a fresh haircut and stuff like that. You're like, to your point earlier, you're not handling my issue. you're creating a larger symptom.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so now you come to school with all these feelings and stuff that I have to unpack, because I'm trying to figure out, how do you go from being one of my best students to now you want to sleep in class, or you're fighting all the time? What's going on, bro?
Something's happening.
Something's happening. So that's what made me write the book. And my wife, we were always talking about doing something together. I wrote it from a perspective, it's a children's book, and so there's colorful pictures and stuff like that, because children have questions. And so the main character is a young man who basically, his parents, his mom has gotten remarried. And so he comes to school and has to ask questions, what's going on? Or I need somebody I can basically talk to. And most children, just like adults, you find you want to talk to somebody that you feel comfortable talking to. And most time it's your teacher for a child, but for adults, it's a pastor, a priest, it's your good co-worker, it's a good friend, it's somebody. And so one of the strong takeaways is that if you're part of a blended family, whether you're the man or the woman coming in or whatever, create a relationship, and let me say this, a genuine relationship with that person and with that child. Don't come in trying, I'm your new dad. No, wait a minute. Let's watch our language.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if the dad is on the other side of town, he got a whole new family. Because when we say I'm a new dad, that means you're replacing the old dad. That term new and old, you got to be careful the language you use. So you know what? I'm just here to be your friend. You have to build a relationship with that child first and foremost. Because see, mom's going to love you. But see, the thing is, what's going to happen is that child, because that's her child. And I've seen too often where the woman says, I love him, but you'll choose that child every time. And that child can be mischievous. I've seen children say one thing. Children lie. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Children, they lie. And they'll go back and tell, well, dad and mom, Mr. So-and-so said this and da. Now you got the adults fighting with each other. They're in conflict, and none of that ever happened because you never created a standard. You got to have standards. That's my second point. First, create a genuine relationship. And the second thing is create a standard with everybody across the board. I'm to the point, like I said, now this works for me. I'm not on that same level with everybody. And then watch this. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it has been a journey as well. Create a relationship. Listen, hey, find that dude and say, you know what, you finna marry my ex or whatever. Let's go sit down and catch a beer, get a beer, let's have a conversation. I'm not gonna tell you, oh, you better watch out for her. No. Let's talk as men. If two women, my wife and my ex-wife, they've gotten together, had meals, excuse me, without me being around. Sometimes I want to know what they talk about. Sometimes I don't. Why? Because they need to understand that there's going to come a time where the girls need them outside of me.
Absolutely. So
you have to create that kind of relationship where we can talk to each other. And the third thing is you got to be honest about your communication. What's your intent? My intent is I do not, no matter if my ex-wife and I are mad at each other, or our youngest daughter who's 6, my wife and her father have issues or whatever, watch this. We don't discuss that stuff in front of the children. That's what you don't do. And when nothing we don't do, we don't discuss it on social media.
That's
because
right.
For some reason, as grown folk, and I use my air quotes, and I've used them all, the grown folk, we old enough to know better. We're not millennials. Our generation, we're more like Gen Xers. We're old enough to know better. We knew the world before social media came about. These stuff that's happening online now is mostly millennials. Listen, I'm too old to be fussing on Facebook with somebody. I got a whole mortgage, loans. We got Sallie Mae. I can't be hanging out. I got to go work at the next. I got to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Some stuff that mature grown people do, because being grown is not a chronological number. Being grown is a state of mind.
Absolutely.
Being grown is that, I've developed a certain place and I know how to handle my business. That's what being grown is.
Absolutely.
And so you do what you got to do to make sure that child is taken care of across the board. If you're on child support, take care of your child support. Do what you got to do or work something out. Because what's going to happen is you create contention. And I'm going to just throw this in there because it's my wife's favorite term. She always says all the time. Don't be to a point where you've resolved issues with somebody, but the folk around you haven't. Because let's take, for example, you and your wife could have had an argument. you know, your wife going off, let me tell my mom what Mike did, and blah, 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 blah. You done came home, you know, y'all done smooth everything over. You done rubbed her feet, you done kissed your head, whatever y'all do. That's nasty. But anyway, whatever y'all do.
You ain't right, man.
Whatever. I see y'all got beautiful children, so whatever y'all been doing, keep it up. Anyway. So now y'all smooth, but then when you see mom-in-law, she looking at you cross-eyed and sideways. Why? Because you've invited people into your area that don't understand what y'all got going on.
And that is big. The whole notion of inviting people into a situation, their situation is kind of, and again, you mentioned the notion of social media being utilized now because it's available to us. But we even though we may have come from a generation prior to social media and we remember it before, the same stuff used to happen before social media. But it would just be at the barbershop or, you know, with so-and-so who, you know, is kind of like the character of Walona from Good Times.
Right,
you tell that one, then everybody knows. And
everybody gonna know, right?
That's right. You know, stuff used to spread around the school or around the yard or whatever. And so, but you one of the things that you mentioned here, a couple of the things that you mentioned really stood out to me. First, B is for Blended is a children's book.
It is.
Like usually when and it's funny, even now, when we're talking about or prior to our discussion, you know, I was under the thought that this was actually for adults, but B is for Blended is a children's book. And I think that's such a unique perspective because it really highlights or addresses, you know, concerns that kids have. And that's based on you and your wife both being informed due to being in education as well from the experiences that the kids have. But fellas, I want you to also pay attention to the three things that he dropped in regards to paying attention to, you know, the scenario of being in a blended family. The first is build a relationship first. You know, the concept of building a relationship is asking for permission, right? You have to ask. And see, that's where a lot of us, I was reading a book, I believe it was about Earl Graves, you know, the Black Enterprise founder. And and one of the things he talked about was, I think he gave a story, and I might be quoting wrong, but something to this extent. He was talking about he used to always go to get his shirts pressed at some place. And every time he walked into this place, once the guy found out that he was who he was always pitching him a business idea. Every time he walked in, business idea for this and something for that. And he said he stopped going there because it was frustrating because that person had not built a relationship. So they had not then gained the authority to start talking about business. So initially, first, we got to build that relationship. Like Marshall said, you can't go in and say, hey, I'm the new daddy, just so that you know. It's like, no, build that relationship and then progress. The second thing that he dropped was, you know, got to create a standard, right? Everyone has to have a standard across the board. And once you create that standard, then you have a control to kind of base things off of. But you got to have a standard. You got to create that. The third thing he dropped was you got to be honest about your communication. Dude, I'm going to tell you, I'm a communications consultant, right? So I help people work out communication issues or how to communicate ideas, thoughts, and present them in a way that, you know, resonates with, you know, with any audience. And one of the things that people don't realize, miscommunication in essence is the core to probably the vast majority of our issues.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Miscommunications, like miscommunication or the lack thereof of communication, because if you're not clearly communicating something and you don't lay this thing out in a way that there is a very small chance that this thing could get misinterpreted, if you open up that window for this thing to be taken a lot of different ways, you're opening up Pandora's box, which is dangerous. So you got to be very honest and you have to be clear about communication. And clear does not mean that you got to sound like Michael Eric Dyson with a thesaurus popping out your mouth every other sentence. That's not clear communication. Clear communication is about impacting that individual or that group that you're talking to. So you don't have to have perfect diction. You just have to understand what resonates with that person and clearly communicate that, whether it's a kid, an adult, a spouse, a former spouse, a parent, friends, whoever, a coworker, whatever it may be. Clear communication. But fellas, I hope you're paying attention to these three nuggets here. Build relationship first, create a standard, but then be honest about your communication.
Yeah. My wife says it all the time. It's actually on her line jacket. And I say it every once in a while, just for clarification. And Yes, because we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yes.
There's no misconception, because we found out is on one hand you have expectations, on the other hand you may have reality, and when the two don't mix well with each other, you got a conflict, and that's what where everything boils down to. So when you have children who are sitting and watching, they okay, so is that my new dad? But my old dad lives across the way. What's the conversation? Like, how will they interpret each other? Like, if we can sit down and all have a good conversation, it closes the gap and the door for any outsiders. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, most people say, how do y'all do that? Guess what? It works for us. That's what you got to find out. What works best for you? If I'm going to, I'm trying to lose weight or do whatever, I'm the kind of person, I love to get up early in the mornings. My wife is like, no, I do in the afternoons.
That's mine. Same way.
Let me get in, let me get out. That's because there's nobody there. But the flip side is, if I'm going to the grocery store, I like to go late at night. She goes in the daytime. I don't like to be bothered with people. Because if it's quiet, let me give it. Because if you start talking to me, I'm gonna forget something. Happens every time.
What works for you?
What works best for you, your family, and the situation that y'all got going on. Because what's gonna happen is, y'all can have the best intentions, but if there's not a clear understanding of, okay, what are we doing here? And sometimes we can do this honestly without involving the law. We don't always have to go, well, we going to court. Why? That's some stuff we can really talk through. And since we're talking to black men, brothers, men, hear me. Get out of your ego.
Yes.
Get out of who you are. Women are built on their emotions. Men are built on their egos. That's our foundational component. Get out of yourself. Just because, okay, yes, your daughter, I got a baby by her. She can still be a daddy's girl. That other brother is not threatening you. He's helping raise your daughter. He's helping do something that you probably couldn't do financially or emotionally. Don't look at him as an adversary. Look at him as an ally. Man, that'll preach right there. Write that down, honey. I like that.
Not an adversary. He's an ally.
That's tweetable right there. So you got to find out, like, this dude is not going to take my place. And so, like, my father-in-laws, they walked my wife down the aisle. It wasn't, well, I'm going to do this because I'm a biological, but she lived in my house. No, they did it together, man. Ultimately, it's for the children. And I promise you, they'll come back and say stuff. Children see more than we think. They're paying more attention. They're able to regurgitate a lot of stuff.
That's real. That's real. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, I mean, that even just leads us back to the whole notion of B is for Blended is a children's book that was inspired by the conversations that you had with children dealing with various issues within the classroom.
Yeah, and my 6-year-old, she's my child. Now, she's not mine biologically. And here's the funny thing is, people are like, oh, that's your dad. She's like, yeah, I have 2 dads. I'm cool with that because she does. And I tell people, they're like, oh, well, is she your stepdaughter? No, that's my daughter or my bonus daughter. She live in my house. She eats my food. I'm paying for certain things. Her dad and I get along well. We're not, and he'll say, man, I appreciate you for being there for my daughter. Like, we don't trip on each other. I mean, and he's a Kappa. So,
oh, wow. Ooh.
Wow.
Side note. That's funny.
We get along with each other, man, because that's not like I'm not finding the time to take his space and stuff like that. He's not trying to, get in my space. We work well with each other. We taking pictures with each other, and so ultimately, like she told my wife one day, she says, Mommy, I want to marry Marshall when I grow up. And she was like, yeah, you can't do that. She says, why? And Joyce says, because I like the way y'all are with each other. Y'all laugh a lot.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
I like the way y'all are. Y'all laugh a lot.
Yeah, she's like, y'all always laughing at something or whatever. And we don't, like I said, we think they going to bed or they're not paying us any attention while we're in the kitchen together, but they're watching. So they're
that means you better lock the door, brother.
I know. She just like to walk around every once in a while.
Yeah, lock that door, man. Lock that door. You'll be having a discussion you don't want to have yet. So
yeah, what y'all doing? Oh, that's leapfrog, baby, leapfrog.
Yeah, you watch WWE? That's wrestling. That's wrestling, baby. That's wrestling.
We was wrestling, baby.
Oh, we was wrestling. That's
Mommy's fine, I promise. She's okay.
She's okay. Oh, man. Oh, dude, like I said, we can literally go all day, and I want people to grab this book. B is for Blended. It's a children's book. So where can folks grab a copy of B is for Blended?
It is available on Amazon and able to be downloaded on Kindle as well.
Okay, it's on Amazon.com now. And then, you're CEO of the Mabry Group. What things do you have going on in regards to that? So you're senior pastor at Tremont Temple in Macon, CEO of the Mabry Group. Give us a little snapshot of what's going on now, and then also how the brothers listening and the ladies too can get in touch with you and connect and learn more about what you got going on with at the church and as CEO of the Mabry Group.
Man, everything that we do with the Mabry Group is mostly consulting. My wife has a background in human resources, and so she's been doing it for a number of years. And so our goal is to kind of help people. We do a lot of coaching as well. And so coaching from the perspective of business consulting, churches, organizations, that kind of thing. We help you find out where your holes right now. Because, sometimes we do with churches. I go into church and find out, what does the neighborhood say about you? What are your members saying about you? Why are you losing money? Where are your holes where you're not being effective? And she's able to do the same thing with companies, because what we always tell people, the moment you have a collective body of individuals together, there's going to be conflict. We just did, matter of fact, we just did a leadership training this past Saturday. We did one together, and watching her, I gave the practical stuff, and she said, okay, she come in after lunch, was like, okay, well, here's a SWOT analysis. And here's let's look what your day needs to look like to help you work together. Your introvert, extrovert, because a lot of times you don't think about, can I work with this kind of person? It's not about your zodiac sign. Can I really gel with you? Do I know how to speak your language? And and I think we're in a season right now, we like diversity. It's a melting pot of people. It's cultural appropriation to a lot of degree as well, because now you got a lot of other cultures who trying to look like us, and we're trying to fit in with them. Because I'm seeing more and more sisters, our Caucasian sister wear cornrows. Kind of intrigued by that. You got, you got a lot of white girls who now they want to be Instagram models and stuff like that. So they looking a lot like us. So a lot of that cultural appropriation, some of us are called culture vultures. It's a lot of us mixing in with each other. So that's what we do, man. We trying to help people, in essence, live your best life, but live in a legal and practical way. Because we want to make sure you're not going to jail for doing some stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
Absolutely.
Because that was just the way we always did it. And that's what we find out when we go to churches, when we go to companies and organizations, they'll say the same thing. Well, we've always done it this way.
That don't mean it was right.
Because it could be a way that you did back in 95, but in 2019, that's illegal.
You can't do it that way.
Can't do it.
So how can folks get in touch with the Mabry Group?
You can actually just inbox me directly. I'm on Facebook. Everything is on social media. The church is on Facebook. All forms, Instagram, everybody's it's Tremont Temple Macon, MACON, Tremont Temple Macon. That's and our website is TremontTempleChurch.org. I'm sorry, .com. TremontTempleChurch.org. I'm sorry, .com. I don't know why I keep saying that. My mind is slipping.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. TremontTempleChurch.com is the website to the church, and then on Facebook.
Georgia.
Okay. And then as far as the Mabry Group, the best way to connect with you all is via Facebook, or do you have a website?
Honestly, you can connect with myself, and I'm Marshall Mabry.
Okay.
There's two of us, and that's my son, but I'm Marshall Tripp Mabry. He's Marshall the fourth.
Okay.
And so you connect with us because we just kind of like to get a gauge from people, man. One of the things we've been kind of helping people out lately, we're working on I don't like to have coaching sessions. I believe in empowerment sessions, because sometimes you got to show people who they really are.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to find out a lot of people, their social media presence is the main reason. My wife just did a training on this, while a lot of folk can get jobs, because a lot of companies now, they find your name, they're going on Facebook, they're looking you up on LinkedIn. They say, okay, do I really want that kind of person represent my company?
And what you said something there that's extremely powerful, because like you mentioned, how we think about things, how they used to be done, right? So 10, 15 years ago, when you were looking to apply for a position or you were submitting or applying for a grant or doing whatever, when folks kind of did their due diligence, they basically took your fingerprint, did a background check to make sure you ain't got no felonies. Yeah. They called your references, and and you're not going to give them any references and not going to give you a good, look. And that was kind of the extent of the background checks.
Right.
Now, fast forward, if you talk to people in HR, a major component to this background research outside of, the legal stuff or whatever, is they do a big swipe of your digital footprint.
They do. I know law schools who do that. I know law schools who do that. I've known medical schools. My wife, who's worked in the school system as assistant superintendent, they've done it.
Tell you, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, if there are brothers that I interview on this podcast that I don't personally know, I do that myself. I do a full social media sweep of who are you? Right. What have you done? What's the stuff you've posted? What things are you involved in? Where can I find you on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat? I'm looking for all of these things because that helps to inform me a little bit about you. And so to your point, if that's what you're putting out there, and people don't realize, even if you delete it, it's still out there.
It's still out there.
Even if it's a post that, disappears in 30 seconds, somebody can screenshot it, repost it. They can do different things. And so to that point, we have to be mindful of our digital footprint in 2019. So that is really powerful that you're helping some of our seasoned elder folks to look and think that, hey, this stuff really does matter now. They're not just calling your 3 references and checking your job history and checking your fingerprint. They're doing a digital sweep of who you are, and you got to be mindful of what you put out there.
And watch this, even as in that same vein, as you said earlier, with our children, they're on social media as well.
And dig this. This is the part that, again, you and I are kind of in this in-between phase where we got the first half of our life so far has been without social media. The last half kind of has been. If you're under the age of 12 or 13, you pretty much have grown up 100% in the age of social media. That's all you know. Like, literally, you lead with it. And so they have a different mindset about it because that's all they know. Whereas us, we've seen both sides to the coin. And so we just got to be mindful of it. But fellas, if you're listening and you have some issues in that regard, or you want to kind of dive a little bit deeper, make sure you check out the Mabry group. And I'll make sure to have Marshall's Facebook link in the show notes so y'all can connect with them. And then also make sure to visit TremontTempleChurch.com to learn more about Tremont Temple Baptist Church, where he is the senior pastor in Macon, Georgia. Any final thoughts that you'd like to kind of leave with the brothers that are listening, man?
Listen, for brothers, if that's an issue for you, you have an issue with blending. You got, for lack of a better term, baby mama drama, ex-wife drama, whatever the case may be, some other stuff going on. Listen, reach out to me. My wife and I love to be a resource to anybody. I've worked in the penal system. I've worked for child support. You do have legal rights, but there's some things that can be resolved without going to the court and somebody having to pay for it. Your children are watching. You want to be a good example for your children, man. We don't know how they got here. I don't know if y'all was a loving relationship or was it a smash and dash. I don't know. Don't care. At the end of the day, you're somebody's father. And they're looking for you because they want you. They're part of who you are. Your DNA is a part of them. They don't need to miss out on their family because you and mommy beefing and stuff like that. And if you got sons, your sons are looking at you to understand what is to give them a blueprint for manhood. And your daughters are looking to say, listen, what kind of man do I want to marry and be involved with when I get older? So at the end of the day, brothers, if you need help with that regard, maybe daddy wasn't there, your uncles weren't there, you don't know how to be a man. Listen, I don't have it all figured out just yet, but I can assist you any way I can. So if that's what you need, I'm here for you.
Now, fellas, make sure you reach out. And again, I'm going to have the links to Marshall in the show notes. You can visit him, Marshall Mabry, on Facebook. The link will be there, as well as visit TremontTempleChurch.com, where you can catch links for him there. Go to Amazon. Make sure to grab a copy of B is for Blended. B is for Blended. It's a children's book about blended families, man. And the brother brings a lot of insight and wisdom. Grab a copy of it. But when you connect with Marshall, make sure you let him know that you heard about him on Black Fathers Now. All right.
Right.
Right here. And my man, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your story, sharing your journey, being transparent with us, because man, this conversation is going to help someone. So I appreciate you for just being open, honest, and willing to share with the brothers that are listening.
Man, thank you for having me. And listen, we will be in Augusta in a couple of weeks, and I'll make sure we get up to hang out with you and the wife. We'll do a play date with all the kids.
You know, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, man. I'm from Augusta.
I didn't know you moved. Man, we got to talk.
Yeah, we got to chat. We got to chat for sure. Yeah, we've connected.
I was in Memphis a couple of years ago. I didn't even know that.
Dude, I ain't lived in Augusta since 1998, man. Yeah, I know.
That.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. But fellas, as always, make sure to visit blackfathersnow.com. Follow Black Fathers Now on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, subscribe, share. Make sure to reach out to Marshall Mabry. Let him know you heard about him on Black Fathers Now. And, this is brought to you by Black Family Apparel. Visit blackfamilyapparel.com. Grab some dope apparel that celebrates the nuances of the Black family. And until next time, fellas, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I holler at you. Peace.
Peace.